Welcome to LOTC Presents Black Glove Mysteries, where every other Friday we will take you on a journey through Italian cinema, specifically Giallo, but we reserve the right to take other avenues such as polizias, spaghetti westerns, Eurocrime films. Either way, you will hear and now see us talk Italian cinema. This is episode 428, Double 62. I'm your host, Greg Mortis, along with Ian Urza. How's it going, Ian?
Playing gigolo to some belly dancer? Go on, get the hell out of here. Go play with her dangling dingleberries.
Dude, the Dingleberries had me cracked up, dude. What a freaking quote. If you're new to the channel, welcome to LOTC Presents, and we are talking some Italian cinema. Let me bring it up a little bit closer. Fernando Di Leo, and we're looking at Caliber 9. And look at that beautiful disc that Ian's got over there. If you're listening, you don't see nothing, but if you're watching this on YouTube channel, you're seeing it. Super excited, man. We're going to be talking a Eurocrime, Polizia. I guess you call it Polizia. This is definitely in that world.
Yeah, well, and Polizia Teschi kind of became similar to Giallo, just like a blanket term for any crime film released in Italy. Some of them focus on cops, some of them focus on mafia, some of them focus on vigilantes, less so on that part, but
Mhm.
this one probably more so the mafia, although there are police involved in this as well. DeLeo like to focus on the the corruption of the police a little bit and
Yeah,
also the mafia underworld more so. So this one definitely I'd say focuses more on the mafia underworld, and it definitely uh adheres to what this genre is all about, which is one man against the world. Mike Malloy in his documentary Eurocrime talked about that, how that's exactly what this genre kind of is, and this movie would certainly apply to that.
agreed, man. And this was my first time viewing. Also, a little disclaimer up front: I am starting to have some kind of chest cold or something, so I will sound a little croupy, and hopefully I will not be sneezing, coughing on camera. But anyways, if I do, I apologize. But yeah, man, this movie, first time viewing, and all I knew was you saying, Ian, that you absolutely love this movie, and I was like, okay, I'm excited because you've seen a ton of Euro crimes and policies and all these different things. So I'm like, okay, if you're loving this film, I know I'm gonna like it. And spoiler, I loved it. So we'll get into this one for sure. But to get into it like we usually like to do, I'm gonna head over to you, Ian, and let you give us a plot synopsis. And we're only doing one movie tonight because Ian had said up front this movie deserves just one by itself. We
I
don't
think the
need to do
first two in this collection certainly do. I think they warrant that. Almost like when we did the Sergio Leone movies, we did those one at a time. I
that's
figured that
true.
this was worth the same treatment. So this is taken from the Raro Video Blu-ray from the DeLeo collection. And so, in the first film of the Milan Milieu trilogy, small time gangster Ugo Piazza has just been released from prison. He tries to convince the police, the mafia, and his one time associate Rocco, a sadistic hoodlum who enjoys sick violence and torture, that he wants to go straight. But everyone believes he has $300,000 of stolen money hidden somewhere. Caliber 9 stylized violence, fast paced action sequences, tight editing and plot twists prefigure the work of Quentin Tarantino and John Woo. I would also say Guy Ritchie. The
Yes.
film also features a notable score by Louise Bacalov and the stunning Barbara Boucher as Ugo's go-go dancing girlfriend.
Yeah, the whole cast in this is fun, and it's like a who's who. If you've watched much Italian cinema, even in some giallo, but into Eurocrime movies and stuff like that, you'll recognize a lot of faces in this one, Ian.
For sure. I mean, Gaston Motion was mainly known for his comedic work before this, actually. So that's interesting. He went on to play Don Fanucci in The Godfather 2. He actually played a pretty big part in The Godfather 2. He's the guy that Robert De Niro shoots on the staircase
Mhm.
in that movie. And then yeah, and this was, I think this was a turn for him considering the comedic work he had done before. This he's basically playing almost like a Jason Statham type. He's got that very distinguished looking face, and the bald head and everything. Very stoic. Then you got Mario Adorf playing Rocco, who is the best part of this movie to me.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Love
Um,
love Rocco.
yeah, I love how the scenes between him and Motion specifically are amazing because basically Gaston Motion's so stoic that he's not acting much at all, whereas Adolf is just going for it. He's like he's overacting and it works. So as Rocco, because that's exactly the type of character he is. Then
Mm.
you got Philippe Leroy, who we've seen in some other stuff, including what is it, The Possessed? I think it was like the third movie we ever covered on the show.
Yeah.
And then he was in oh, what's that Aldo Lotto movie we covered from the early '90s? That was I can't remember what that one was, but
Yeah.
we did that one, and he was in that. He just died like last year.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah. And then Barbara Boucher, obviously, this was kind of one of the star-making performances from her. And
Mm.
almost like every Eurocrime movie she did after this, like whether it was Rico the Mean Machine or Blood and Diamonds, or heck, even in Cry of a Prostitute, she had to have some kind of like seductive dancing scene in every movie after this because of the dancing scene she has in this. That was obviously so notable. You got Lionel Stander, an American actor, dubbing his own voice, by the way.
Nice.
He was blacklisted. He plays the American Don. They call him Mikado in this movie. Uh, and he was a blacklisted American actor who went to Italy to do some stuff after that. Frank Wolf playing the commissioner, the much more fascist cop. Where then you got Luigi Pistilli, the great Luigi Pistilli, Hall of Famer Luigi
Yeah.
Pistilli, playing the other cop who's a lot more like socialist and communist with his leanings. So you
Mm.
get a lot of scenes between those two. To be honest, I don't necessarily think they need to be a part of the movie, but I still kind of like them anyway because the actors are both so good. And then I'm trying to think of anybody else. There are a couple of character actors that I recognize. Well, Giuseppe Castellano is
Mm.
like one of the character actors who pops up in a ton of these movies, and he plays sort of the mustache henchman with like the amber glasses on who gets killed at one point.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
he is like in a ton of these films. Um, and then there's some others. It's the other guy from the handoff that I'm thinking of. I got to find who he is, but the cast is really well rounded and really good. And everybody's someone you've seen, and everybody does a good job here. Ernesto Colli, that's what I was thinking of. He's the other guy at the handoff who gets killed when he's in the phone booth, where Mario Adorf has a great line where he says, "Check the things. It's so you know you didn't get screwed." And then he hears the explosion go off. He's like, "He got screwed."
You got screwed. Dude, that's funny. I love Fernando Ciroli, man, as the hotel clerk. It's freaking,
Yeah. Well, I love that part when him and Giuseppe Castellano are doing the whole like crossword puzzle thing. Where he's like, "Give me a different one."
give me an easy one or something, or give me
Yeah.
something else. And he just starts writing down all these words after that. It's so funny, dude. The cast is so good. I will agree 100% with you. And in trivia, they agree with you as well that the play off of the commissioner and whatnot when you had those two playing off each other was kind of a distraction to an extent from what's going on in the story.
Well,
I agree,
this
but
movie
it
is
worked.
Ugo's story. It's not really about the cops. I don't think they should be absent from the movie entirely because the
Huh?
cop is trying to put pressure on him to be an informant, and he's really going at him and basically saying, "Oh, he gets a pardon for all the things he's done.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, we have to work so hard to put these people away."
Yeah,
And Michael Forrest is doing a phenomenal job dubbing Frank Wolf in this movie. I know that they were friends in real life. They were roommates at one point, and Frank Wolf committed suicide like probably weeks after filming. Um, Considering he died, I think, in 1971, and this was released in 1972, it had to have been very, very close together. The time of when this was filmed and when he ultimately took his own life. But I think Forrest did some extra effort, applied some extra effort to this dubbing performance because of that.
yeah. No, I totally agree. And Luigi Pastelli, you needed him and Frank Wolf in the movie just to have them in the movie. So it was okay, but it was a little distracting, but it's okay because I think they said in trivia that they done so well that it was like even though it's distracting that you didn't want to take it out because they done such a great job with each other. So I totally get it, but it was kind of a little bit off-putting from the movie itself. Not enough to say, "Oh, this movie's gonna suck," because not saying that. It was different. It was a different thing. But Ugo, man, in this movie, dude, he's just like you said. He's so stoic. He comes out and he's been in prison for what 3 years, I think it was, or whatever, and he comes out and it's like you instantly getting hit with, where's the $300,000? And Rocco is freaking phenomenal in this movie, man. He just plays the heavy guy so well, and then he has that full twist at the end that was awesome as well. So I just really enjoyed him. And Barbara Boucher, I mean, we all know that Ian, that's one of our Giallo crushes, I guess you would call her, and she does really good for what she's in. She's not in a major, I would say, a major portion of this movie, but she does have a few scenes in here that she eats up some time, and
If we're
does work.
talking about the trademark women, though, in Eurocrime movies,
Mm.
she's in there for sure because women don't play too many meaningful roles in this genre. This is one of the bigger, sort of like well known parts for a woman in this genre, I would say.
Mhm. So with Americano, who was Lionel Stander, who plays the Americano, the heavy. I guess we'll call him the Don, right? He's kind of
Hmm.
the lead. Dude, I love his character. Like, there's a scene where Rocco brings Ugo in, and he's like telling him, and he's just, this is after he had met his Don, his Ugo's Don, right? His friend Kino, and he's had that whole meeting, and Kino just basically roughed up Rocco, his people, and all this stuff,
Well,
and
he's not at first. Ugo
no,
has to join him in order for them to do that.
right, right.
Ugo's kind of standing there at first, then he decides to fight. But yeah.
And it's kind of funny because Americano is sitting there telling him, like, after everything's said and done, like, he basically lays out a plan for Ugo, what he's going to have to do to live. And then he looks over at him and he says, and by the way, Kino, he done a little wrong. He needs to apologize. I'm like,
Yeah, he says he went a little far.
a
Yeah.
little far, a little far.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
just
think
one of the many moments in this movie I love. There's so many subtle little moments I love in this.
I think something that needs to be duly noted in this movie too is if you had the Blu-ray, you can watch the American dub version or you can watch the Italian. We watched the American dub because you was mentioning how great it was, and it is. But I still had the subtitles up, and dude, it's so different
It is.
from
They
the Italian.
I think they yeah, I mean, they have to do certain things to make the words match like from the movement of the mouths and everything like that. So the dubbers deserve a lot of credit in
Yeah,
making those things, work as well as they can. I
absolutely.
do think some of the interplay between the cops specifically sounds a little different because DeLeo puts so much political leaning into that it's going to sound a little different if it's not exactly what it's supposed to be verbatim.
Agree.
This point still comes across between the two of them, but
Yeah.
yeah, there are some differences. It is sometimes, and I do this on some older Blu-rays and DVDs with these as well. The newer ones usually have the subtitles changed to what they should be for the English dub,
Hmm.
but there are older ones where I'll turn them on and be like, I want to see what they say that's different,
Yeah.
and they usually get like 75% of it right, and depending on how they're doing it, it can still change the meaning of it, like allegorically, if they
Hmm.
don't use it exactly. It just depends on what it is, the context, I guess I should be saying. But yeah, it is different for sure.
Yeah, it's stark. I had to quit looking at it because it was distracting me so much.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
like
agree.
I'm like, dude, this is like completely. I mean, they're completely changing some of these subplots of this, but it still works, man. I loved it, man. This movie, it's heavy dialogue, so we got a lot of story. We do have action. We do have shootings. We do have, explosions. We do have that, but we don't have the amount of car chases you see in a lot of these movies or anything like that. We don't have those big, what I would call epic blow up moments. Although we do have that massacre of a family that was pretty awesome, but overall, this is more story driven, and I actually enjoyed that. I was like, it was refreshing. The acting was strong, so I'm following the story. The musical score that you mentioned earlier, man, I thought was phenomenal by Luis Enrique Bacalov and played by Osana, which was an Italian kind of a, I guess you call him
It's
retro
like
band.
it's basically like if Jethro Tull
Yeah.
did a score with a composer. Like that's what it sounds like because you got the flute, you got the electric guitar, the bass, the piano, the violin, everything's in there creating something that's really good. And I think even some of the strings were like high pitched with some brass underneath them, and
Yes.
that sounded like Jerry Goldsmith a lot. Like Jerry Goldsmith would do the same thing with a lot of his scores, and there's a lot of that in here as well. Just that particular sound.
No, I totally agree, man. It just worked. I thought everything in this movie worked well. And once we got toward the end, there's this twist at the end that I thought was just, I kind of, I won't say I knew it was a twist, because I knew something was off. And when it's revealed, I'm like, okay, I get that part of it. But then where they actually went with the twist, I thought was really good. I thought they handled
Yeah,
it.
I think both of them are great because
Mm-hmm.
the first one is just something within the movie where a certain thing is said so many times that you're like, well, that can't be what's going on. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always compared this movie to, this isn't a spoiler, this is more, metaphoric, but basically this movie is like watching someone play chess, playing the most perfect chess game that they could possibly play, and they just make one simple mistake somewhere along the way.
Mm-hmm.
They've taken every single piece from the opponent except for maybe one,
Right.
and their king is left exposed at the end to be taken by the other person. Meanwhile, all their other pieces are gone.
Yeah.
That's exactly how this movie goes to me, because
Agree.
Ugo is has such a master plan
Mm.
that works really well, but there's one thing that he falls for that probably any man in the world would fall for. So, it makes sense.
Every man of a man would have been like, I would have been there too, damn
Yeah.
it. Let's see what else we got in this. Now this was taken from a short story, right? There's like three short stories or a few of the short stories that he took this from Giorgio Scribanico. And we're going to see the other one too, because I know one of the next ones, like I think the Italian Connection was part of that group for sure that he's doing. So we'll be getting to that soon. But I liked it, man. I just thought it was really good. I liked watching this thing go along. We had these outdoor shots that I thought handled well because me, I'm a sucker for backdrops, and I want to see certain monuments or certain things that you've got that in here. You've got that place where they show up where the family is at, the Don's family is there. And then we see what happens there with the pool and all that. I thought was handled well. So overall, man, it flows really good, Ian. It's just
Yeah.
it's a longer movie too, was it not? Like
I think an hour and 40 minutes, maybe.
yeah, I want to say,
Again, if you had taken out some of those police scenes, it could have been like a very tight hour 30, maybe.
yeah,
Um,
but it plays
but
quick. It
yeah,
really
it
does.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like even from the beginning, like you have the whole handoff, right? There's two different sort of handoffs in this movie of parcels that are supposed to have something in it, whether it's drugs or money or whatever.
Mhm.
And basically, the whole catalyst of the movie is, the money gets stolen by somebody at the very beginning during one of these handoffs. I love how we see how crazy Rocco is right away by torturing a guy while he's shaving, by cutting him up while he's shaving. Then you have him slapping that one woman around, and then you have them, tying these three people up with like dynamite or something.
Uh,
Yeah,
Did you feel now this is a spoiler? I'll go ahead and let you know this is a spoiler, minor spoiler. But he basically has beaten these three individuals up that he thinks has stolen the money, puts them in a cave, him and his buddy, and they light a fuse, and you got this long fuse that's going to hook to dynamite that's in their body or near their person. So instantly, I'm telling my wife, I'm telling Pearl, E, and I'm like, dude, that would be one of the worst ways to go because you can hear it coming. You know it's coming. You don't know what it's going to feel like, but you know this is fixing to happen. But there was a moment in my watching, I thought, they're not going to die. One of them's going to get out, or somebody's going to get out, and that's where the movie's going to go. That's what I kept feeling. Maybe it's the Giallo in me.
if it were an American movie, maybe that would
Yeah.
happen.
I was
Yeah,
feeling like as soon as the explosion happened, I'm like, somebody went out the back of the cave. There was a little hole, and they're going to play a big part at the end of this movie. Well, spoiler, they don't. So,
no,
it did happen. They died. But I really enjoyed it. I love the mystery guy in this one, the white scarf mystery guy that we see throughout the movie. Just happens to be in certain areas at certain times. You don't know who that is. And really, at the end of the reveal, you don't know who he is. I mean, I didn't, but it was
well,
pretty.
there's one particular character they show early on that ends up playing a more significant part at the very end.
Hmm.
So that makes sense. I mean, the first time I watched this, I didn't have all the puzzle pieces in place, so to speak. It took me another viewing to like fully absorb and recognize everything that was going on. So
Yeah.
that's why I liked it a little more. I think this was my fourth time watching it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited because to pull back the curtain, guys and gals, Ian had gifted me this for Christmas, and dude, I'm so excited to have it and finally getting in to watch it. And if any of them are even an eighth of what this movie is, man, and we still got three more movies in this set, man. I'm super excited, Ian, because this one was a banger, and I'm assuming this is probably the banger of the group.
Well, no, not necessarily. I think they're all, I mean, the Italian Connection is on par with this one. It's
Okay.
a different kind of movie, more action oriented, but that one I would say is on par with this one for sure.
Nice.
Il Boss, The Boss with Henry Silva is a really good film. Rulers of the City, aka Mr. Scarface with Jack Palance is also really good. So I think they're all really good films. The Italian Connection and Milan Caliber 9 being the two best, I would say.
I'm super excited once we get to the boss because I love Frank Silva. I just, Henry Silva. Mm. Chef Kiss guy. What an actor. So from here, Ian, what do you got on? Let's say just let's get into the dubbing corner and then we'll get back into the movie. But what do you got on the dubbing corner on this one?
So Robert Spafford is dubbing Gaston Motion as Ugo. Uh, Edward Mannix is dubbing Mario Adorf as Rocco. I think so. He had mentioned already. Michael Forrest dubs Frank Wolf as the Commissario. There is a background cop, like a sort of a third cop that you see a few times. That's dubbed by Robert Summer, and that's the only ones that I know of in this.
Okay. The fact we got Michael Forster in this is awesome, man. I love that. And go back and watch 1980 Alligator. Yeah. Oh, I love that freaking movie. But so what else you got on plots? I don't know how far we want to get into the plots of this movie, but I think it's duly noted we should talk about the cinematographer Franco Villa. I thought it shot beautifully, man. This thing, I think the pacing of it, the way it's paced, and the way these shot angles are going. There's some high angle stuff and some just some really cool angle shots that this cinematographer's nailing, and I thought it was good. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I to be honest, I didn't notice anything too special about the cinematography, but I do think the movie is well shot. Like it, nothing necessarily stood out to me. I think it's more the direction and the writing and the music that did. But like the shootout scene is well staged. Like it's the cutting in that I think is really good at the end. And there isn't really a whole lot of action in this. This movie is more dialogue and music orientated.
Yeah,
So that's probably why.
yeah, I agree. And do you think that this movie did it warrant, like, should we have had maybe a little more action, or do you feel like maybe we were missing maybe they should have put a car chase scene in here, or maybe we should have had more shootings or more, or do you feel like it was right?
I actually think that would have been out of place. I actually think it's right. It's this movie's closer to being, Reservoir Dogs than it is, Django Unchained or some action movie like the Boondock Saints or something. It's more about the chess match between the people, I think. And then it culminates with an excellent shootout at the end, which is when you get your action, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm glad you said that because that's 100% what I was feeling. Because I just felt like in the movie itself, if you would have had like car chase scene would have been out, other than the scene toward the end after the shootout, and we see him on the road for that brief moment, but that didn't warrant a car chase. Explosion in the beginning was great, but did it warrant any kind of like just continuous gunfire back and forth? No, I think they handled this one just right, and I was super impressed. I was like, man, this movie is fun. It's intelligent. It's got action. You've got sex and some sex appeal in this with Barbara Boucher and what's going on there. So it's got moments of everything that you like in movies and cinema and whatnot. And as an Italian film, I think it ranks right up there, dude. I think it really does.
Yeah, I would agree. And what's funny is, so I have some facts about this, and then I got a nitpick at some point. But Barbara Boucher, apparently, there was a journal that was a closed set, but there was like a journalist there or something who ended up taking a bunch of pictures, putting them in the newspaper, and that made her more famous because of that.
Of course.
So yeah, and she's like, yeah, I didn't mind really. Knowing her, that's not surprising.
Mm.
And then so Philippe Leroy was like, is it realistic for me to be killing all of these people? Which I'm just like, have you seen any American movie, Philippe Leroy? Like, do you know that this happens all the time? My nit to pick though with that is, if you know you're going to be killing a lot of people, why are you bringing a
Yeah.
6 shooter
Yeah.
instead of like, yeah, like that's just, I just, that's like, that is not the weapon to bring if you know
No.
you're going to be killing a lot of people.
No. Although he's a dead shot.
He's a very good shot with it.
It was definitely a good dead shot. But yeah, yeah, as Keno character, and I'm thinking, okay, he just basically became a new Don, is what he basically became, a Don of a no family. But still, and I'm thinking, dude, why don't you have some kind of rifle, something? I mean, a 6 shooter, not what you want to bring to the gunfight when you're going to take a whole family on. Not, I mean, good for you. What
Even
happened?
if he had one of those old Berettas that we
Oh,
see
yeah.
Ugo using, that still has more capacity than the
Yep.
6 shooter does.
Yep.
So it just, I don't know. It was just like, really, that's the weapon choice. But yeah, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, I love Rocco and some of his lines and some of his deliveries. Like from the beginning that we see him when he's in the car, he's just like, "Hey Ugo, hop in. We'll take you there anyway." All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Mario or Dorf. And I got to tell you, he's still, let's see, when was the last credit he has so far? So
Well,
we've got,
he's still alive. I know
Mhm.
that. He's 94 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, in 2023, the last thing that I see on his IMDb is he plays Weschleberg in Real Fight. I've never heard of the movie, but I mean, it's 2023 and he's still acting, man. This is insane. The man is, what is he now? He's 80, uh,
94, I think.
90, yeah, because he's born in 1930. So,
Yeah.
wow. An testament to a guy that is one of my favorite characters in this movie, bar none. Just really, and I did, like I said, I loved the flip at the end of the movie. I thought it went so well, and where he ended up becoming, and just taking this guy and just crushing the head. Right, he's just like, oh, just that revengeance, and I was like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
what
Well, I love the scene at the police station where they
mm,
have like that. Like he sees Ugo walk in with a bag, and like just to look on his face when he sees Ugo walk, he's like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, and instantly he just loves Ugo all of a
yeah,
sudden because
yeah,
of that. Yeah,
my best friend in the whole
it's
world.
amazing. Well, and I love some of the scenes early on. Like he says, he starts beating up Ugo at one point. And he's like, "We're gonna be like," basically, he's talking about how they're gonna follow him everywhere. Like where he's like, like you're not gonna take a piss without us pulling the chain for you. We'll be there at every bus stop. We'll be at the airport.
Yeah,
And then he like, and it's proven right away where Ugo, goes to this hotel, has like a tryst with some prostitute. Then they come in and just wreck his room. Um, because basically the point is they want him to work for the Mikado again so they can keep an eye on him. And then later on, I love the moment where there's another exchange that goes wrong,
mhm,
and they blame Ugo for it after he fails to kill the people they accuse. And Ugo makes the excellent point of like, look, there were other people who knew about this. And he's like, why the hell would I steal money from you when you already think I've stolen money from you?
yeah.
Like, that's the thing is like, he's like, look, why would I do it when you're already accusing me of doing this? Like, I would have to be really stupid to do that.
Yeah, that was a great moment because Americano starts listening to him. And, that's when he's like, wait a minute, he's making sense. And then, of course, Rocco's like, oh, wait a minute, but Ugo's making sense of what he's saying. And, Americano's listening to him like, I think you're right. I'm leaning towards you. And Rocco's getting all pissed off. Like, oh, but
Well,
good.
I almost compare Ugo to like, a really good left tackle in football or something where
Right.
he needs a quarterback, like he needs a
Yeah.
leader, he needs someone to be the star, but
Yeah.
like he's still an alpha male who will follow someone who's, worth basically his respect and his protection. It's really
Agree.
interesting in that way.
Agree.
Yeah.
Good stuff. What else you got on Caliber 9?
Well, I'm trying to think of what else, but I have some stuff from Austin Fisher's Blood in the Streets that I wanted to read off if I can get to
Yeah.
certain pages. So I'm just going to go back here to the beginning. I might have a couple of pauses in between this while I'm trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to say. So, so the word it says the word poliziesco has become an umbrella term for a diverse array of 1970s Italian crime films, many of which do not have the activities of law enforcers or the terrorist atrocities of the era as their main focus. Around 40 films whose narratives instead revolved around mafia activity emerged from the Filoni production in between 1968 and 1981, peaking in 1973 with 11 releases.
Mm.
I shall begin my analysis of how these films engage with such themes. I shall turn to the work of the most revered director of this mafia, Filoni, Fernando de Leo. Such an auteurist methodology may seem out of place in a book whose self proclaimed remit is to return time and time again to the surreality of the Italian studio system. But taking De Leo as a starting point raises a number of important issues to which I shall return. Why does he occupy a privileged status in critical and fan discourses? What does his status tell us about the various types of mafia film produced in Italy? So let's see here. Next page. Um, De Leo. So this is a quote from someone from Phil Comment magazine. De Leo was more of a cog in the machine of Italy's ruthlessly au courant cinema of international appropriation. His films demonstrate his ability to take superficially conventional crime stories and invest them with near operatic emotional impact. I would agree with that.
Agree.
The most overt theme of De Leo's mafia films is one of mob corruption, being imbricated within every facet of Italy's civic, political, and religious life. An obvious point of continuity with other crime Filoni comes in the consistent depiction of toothless or corrupt legal structures, crooked cops, and politicians in the pockets of gangsters.
Mm.
Time and time again, the viewer is presented with older mafiosi lamenting the passing of a more honorable age as bygone codes of honor are disregarded by young punks who have no respect. In
Mm.
Milano Caliber 9, the old man Don Vincenzo states, they call it the mafia, but today they are just gangs fighting each other. The real mafia does not exist anymore. The real mafia is dead.
Wow.
Which is a part of the movie we get with that
Yeah.
old man, which I found interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Milano Caliber 9 contains a contains a plot strand that overtly ruminates on the state of contemporary Italy throughout the film in the ongoing argument between two detectives, one right wing, played by Frank Wolf, the other left wing, played by Luigi Pistilli, that runs alongside the film's main mafia narrative. A persistent topic of their dispute is the traumatic social change that has been brought about by rapid economic growth, in particular the migration of impoverished southern Italians to the more developed north of the country. The caricatured communist sympathizer Mercury, or Fonzino, if you're watching the American version, played by Pistilli, sees this as the chief cause for the current crime wave in Milan, repeatedly attacking the reactionary views of his commissioner, played by Frank Wolf. When Mercury is at last punished for for his insubordination by being transferred to Basilicata, his his parting explains his point of view, quote unquote. The Americano, the film said mafioso, and
Mm.
the criminals from the South are an effect rather than a cause. The masses of Southerners coming to live up and do the most menial jobs that no one else will do. They're badly paid. They have no housing and no social benefits. No wonder they turn to crime.
Everybody turns to crime.
The laments of DeLeo's old timer mafiosi are also aimed at more recent developments presented in the films as signs of licentious young generation with no respect for tradition or family ties, such as the growth of student military that had started in 1967.
Mm.
So it says, and then the last thing, the Leo's Mafia dons through their concerns with key changes that had visited Italian society since the Second World War, rapid economic growth, increasing American influence, student militancy, and the emergence of indiscriminate acts of public violence, therefore stand in as mouthpieces for an Italian polity with national anxieties transposed onto the mob. So
Yeah.
there you go. Some interesting stuff there.
Yeah. And what was that from again?
Blood in the Streets by Austin Fisher. I have the book right here.
Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
That's all Eurocrime and Polizia, Teskey, and all these different type films, correct?
Yeah.
Nice. And I'm assuming that's still available.
Probably is. I remember getting it. I think I remember getting a message about it from my friend years ago. Because he just knows I love Italian films. A guy I know from Maine who actually lives in Los Angeles now, and he sent me like a number of books that have been. He's been like, "Hey, do you know about this book or that book? If it's anything to do with Italian genre cinema."
Yeah.
So yeah, and I ended up buying it because it wasn't that expensive. It's a fairly small paperback book. It's not like a coffee table book or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, any kind of little books like that, man, I say little. I mean, there's a lot going into it. But any kind of books like that are interesting to read, in my opinion. And you can get into, I've got some of these, and I know you do as well. Like we'll get into eventually the Lucio Fulci films. So we got the Splinter Visions from Troy Howarth,
Yeah, I have that one.
the Murder by Design, which is the what was it, the Unsane Cinema of Dario Argento, and
That one I do not have yet,
yeah,
actually.
so
I
all
need to
these
get that.
different books, man, they're fun. And so if you're really wanting to dig into the Italian world, it's good to get into some of these books, man, and learn from some of these scholars, quote unquote, or some of the people that are a little more versed in the into the world that they can kind of guide you and help you along your journey for sure. Because man, I'm a novice at this, so every little bit of help I can get, absolutely, man. But I'm enjoying this ride for sure. And this movie right here, I mean, we've seen and we own what's the one we own? The Violent Streets that Severin put out.
With all the Tomas Milian and Berto Lenzi films in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So many good, just action packed, but I really enjoyed this film, man. I gotta say, this is a banger. And the fact that we had all these cast members that we've already seen, once again, I can't reiterate when you got Luigi Pastelli in a movie, man, I get excited. I just really, you said it, Hall of Famer. And that's why I think if you were to put like a Hall of Fame of Italian actors or at least Italian cinema, it might be an English actor or whatever, but if you did an Italian cinema Hall of Fame, Luigi would definitely be in that Hall of Fame.
Yeah. For his roles in spaghetti westerns, Eurocrime, and even some giallos, you think about Iguana with the Tongue of Fire, Bay of Blood, which he's also in. So he's done stuff in all of those genres, playing key roles, always acting great every time.
Would you consider Frank Wolf in a Hall of Fame?
Maybe
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 on
a
the
step
cusp of
below
it.
it, but he's
Yeah.
right around there. He's like the Harold Baines of the Todd Helton, where he makes the Hall of Fame because they're
Yeah.
just looking for someone to make the Hall of Fame. Had he stuck around though, this
Yeah.
genre was tailor made for him. This
Yeah.
genre was tailor made for a guy who looked like him, who
Hmm.
acted like him. We see it in this movie. You can see it a little bit in Death Occurred last night. I think if he had stuck around,
Yeah.
he would have been, one of the American actors right there, probably like Henry Silva as one of the American actors that's like well known for being in this genre. Because I think it was really made for him. The
Agree.
spaghetti westerns he was in, he mostly plays somewhat smaller parts, usually important parts, but usually somewhat smaller.
Hmm. Yeah, that was the thing. Like in this movie, I really enjoyed him on screen, and I really enjoyed Luigi Pastelli. Don't get me wrong when I said, that kind of distracts a little bit, but I really loved seeing them in the movie. It was a little bit because of what's going on. I didn't have to see them arguing at each other or they're trying to, downplay each other or whatever. We didn't need to see all that, but at the same time, I'm like, they are such damn good actors that I'm into it. I'm like, all right, I don't care what you do. Throw the book at each other. I don't give a rat's ass. I don't care.
Yeah, I like Pastilli chain smoking his
Yes.
pipe too.
There's so good. So many good moments in this one. So let's see. We still got two voicemails from caller to get to, Ian. And what else you got on this before we get to our call?
Nothing too much. I mean, I don't want to spoil how it ends, but I love how crazy Rocco goes at the ending and just his whole monologue about how much he respects Ugo.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it's amazing. Like definitely, if you're gonna watch this, you'll definitely remember that at the end.
Oh,
So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that took me from being like I like Rocco to I love Rocco by the end of
right.
the movie.
Yeah.
It just really took you to that spot. So I tell you what, let's hold our ratings. We'll go to the call. and we'll come back and then we'll give our rating for this movie. But I think what we'll do, I'm gonna hold up my trusty JBL here, or I should say
I
Pearl's trusty JBL. Thank you, love.
think I have the exact same one actually, the JBL Flip.
Oh, we
Yeah,
should totally, yeah, the JBL Flip. Like, we're not sponsored by JBL Flip, but man, this is a banger. And
yeah, I have the military camo one.
like our little Land of the Creeps logo on
Nice.
there, little Land of the Creeps logo on the other side. Not that it's custom, that's stickers, but I'm just saying this is a banger of a radio. So let's go to a very familiar voice for Ian as he's drinking the Colt 45. I love it. Yes. All right, here we go. Let's go to the call.
Hey guys, Luke Urza calling with a review of Caliber 9. Probably leave you a couple messages. This will be the first one. So I thought it was a very good movie. What you see with the characters is what you get. The main character, Hugo, struck me as a brooding, tight-lipped main character. Did a great job, playing that role. In the plot and the premise. I always felt that he stole the $300,000 from the lead villain, the Mikado. He just wasn't. He played it pretty good, like not giving it away, and it was a little bit convincing that he might not have done it, but I kind of felt that he did. Great character development, in my opinion, across the board through the story. Rocco plays a great henchman slash enforcer. He does what he's told, either very violent in beating out, confessions, blowing up possible traitors or blowing up members of the crime family that were identified to the police. So they kind of got rid of those people they were known to the police, so they really couldn't use them anymore. A lot of blowing up people. And Rocco, though, also shows restraint with Hugo. Understand roughing him up a little bit may be okay to possibly get Hugo to give up the $300,000. Rocco doesn't really get the big picture that the Mikado wants to keep his eye on Hugo, thinking he'll slip up and expose the $300,000. So Rocco roughs him up a little bit, but I don't think he really understands why he shouldn't kill him or etc. That the bigger picture eludes Rocco. I'll give you guys a call back and continue my review. Have a good show, guys.
And there are spoilers in these calls, so just be forewarned on that. Let's see. Let's go to his last call here.
Hey, Luke, there's with call number 2 regarding Caliber 9. So again, some character development stuff or observations. I thought Kino was a great character. The Mafia Don, Vincenzo's bodyguard and friend to Hugo. I looked at Kino and thought Kino was a link to Hugo's past life. So I thought that was an interesting, thing. And then I also thought it was very interesting that they made Don Vincenzo blind. So you have a Mafia Don or old or previous, if you're ever a previous Mafia Don, I don't know, they can really retire. But making him blind, it makes him vulnerable, it seems. Because like compared to the Godfather, some of these high ranking, if you will, criminals, they're not too vulnerable as characters. And I thought making Vincenzo blind made him vulnerable. And also it seemed like it was a passing of an era of, let's say, mafia rule. Other criminals, the Mikado, etc., kind of were moving beyond mafia things or having a don or whatever. They didn't seem to have a great deal of respect for him. Not a great deal. I mean, they did respect him in some ways, but I think that, again, making him blind made him appear vulnerable. the Nellie Borden, character, I thought was very distracting. Good, well played, but I didn't see the ending coming. I did not see the double cross coming. Um, it seemed to me, in regarding the person with the red jacket and scarf, white scarf, pretty mysterious character. You don't know, but it struck me that we would have seen that character, that person in the movie somehow, and I just didn't put it together that the character may have been the young bartender or somebody in the Mikado's criminal gang. I didn't see that at all. But you do sense that like the bartender lingers around a few times in a couple scenes, or there's always this guy that they put the camera on that kind of smiles when he looks over at that Nellie character. Um, so overall, I thought it was a well-rounded movie. I thought there was good character development, good plot, good ending. Um, as gangster movies go, I found it to be more, let's say, raw of a movie than The God.
And he got cut off, and that's where he ended, Ian. I don't have anything else from him, so I don't know where he was going with the rest of his thought.
He was pretty much wrapping up his
Yeah.
thoughts there, I think. Anyway, well said. I mean, we talked about most of this stuff, and the angle with the mafia dons is something interesting because DeLeo focuses more on this in the boss. Like he focuses more on this idea of like what the mafia is turning into is something not honorable
Hmm.
compared to once what it was, which is, and maybe also he might in that movie he might also be saying it was never honorable to begin with, but
Yeah,
he expands more upon that theme in the boss for sure when we watch that.
agree. Yeah, totally agree. So let's go ahead and we'll start wrapping this up. So I think now, great call, Luke, by the way. Let's go ahead and start wrapping up with our final thoughts and our rating for Ian. What you got in final thoughts and the rating?
This was just a fun movie to watch again. I mean, there's no commentary on the Blu-ray, so I only had to watch it once, but everything clicked in for me. Most of the time, I have to watch the movies twice to think I got everything from it. This time, I was like, I'm going to watch it once, and I just was just so fully invested that I, didn't need to do it again. Really, the documentaries were kind of interesting, actually. They brought a lot of people back for retrospective on the Milan Caliber 9 one, which I thought was pretty interesting. The DeLeo one was kind of interesting as well. I mean, he's a little high on himself. I'll say that much. I think he's a little high on how good he thinks he is, but he is a great filmmaker
Mhm.
and a great writer, to be sure. And I'm looking forward to continuing this series on his films for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the bonus features, as you mentioned that, on this one, you had the documentary you mentioned, you had the De Leo uh, interview, and there was one other. What was the other? There was another feature, wasn't there?
I think it was a focus on that author, right? Skurbanenko or
That's right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there are, if you do get the this set, you can get these through Kino, I believe. I don't know if you can get this through Kino anymore, can you?
Yeah, I think you can.
As are they
I
doing
actually
that?
think it might. I think it might actually be one of the better ways to get it is through
Mm.
Kino. It's probably less expensive on their website than it is anywhere else.
Yeah. So this
That's
is
how I
rare.
got it for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rara video. It's a banger of a look, man. It looks great, sounds great. But they do have some features on there, and these are. Let me go ahead and open it up for the listeners or viewers that are watching. They do have individual discs, so they're not stacked up on there. Okay, so you do have your individual movie disc, which I love. Instead of trying to put two, three movies on one disc. So if that sways you any which way, too, there you go. So what you got on the rating?
My rating actually went up because I used to have that nitpick of those cop scenes of this movie. Now I'm just kind of like, whatever. I'm giving this a 10.
Nice.
I would have probably given it like a 9.5, maybe even a 9 in the past, but I just kind of have gotten over how I feel about those scenes. Like I said, I don't necessarily think they need to be in the movie, but the two actors are good enough where it almost doesn't matter.
Agree. Yeah, I agree. My final thoughts. Once again, this is a first time viewing. Man, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I will definitely watch this again, and cannot wait to get into our next one. But for me, I'm gonna come in with a solid 9 on this one, and give a 2 thumbs up and say, hey, man, you definitely need to check this one out. Now we do our ratings 1 out of 10 on here on YouTube. If you're watching and you're like, what is your rating? A 9, 1 to 10. So 9 is definitely right up there, and 10 is a basically a perfect film.
I
So,
think it just allows more leeway because sometimes to me, like if you give something a set, like let's say you want to give something a 7.5,
mhm,
you don't know if you would be if the rating were based out of 5, if you would have it at like 3.5 or a 4. So it just
right.
gives you more leeway with that extra sort of point system.
It does, and that like if you're on Letterbox, and most of us are, you go on Letterbox, it's hard to rate them over there because you only have, amount of stars. So it's like, okay, if I got a 7, then that's a 3.5. But then if you got an 8.5, and then it just gets a little wonky for me. So I totally agree with you. 1 to 10 just seems to be the way to go with it for us. So,
Well, and what's interesting is critics used to rate it out of 4, and I found that hard. Like,
oh
how
wow,
do you like especially when you rated something 2.5? It's like, okay, are you saying 2.5 is slightly good, or are you saying it's mediocre because you're giving it a 2.5? It's hard,
that's right.
That's your rating system.
Yeah, definitely. So, what do you got for our next episode coming up on here on LOTC Presents? So, if you're on YouTube, it'll be the next episode here. If you're listening to this on all your podcast platforms, you'll hear our top 5 of 1994, and then our next LOTC Presents. What we're going to be covering.
We are covering the Italian Connection, aka Manhunt, the next movie in the Fernando de Leo crime collection.
Nice. Once again, you can get it with this set and be perfectly fine. Have all 4 of these on here. Caliber 9, the Italian Collection, the Boss, and Rulers of the City, all on one little fine, pristine little set. So with that said, I want us to do this. I want you to head over to landofthecreeps.blogspot.com, which is our blog site. It's just where we post there. We don't do anything other than that. Although, if you go to the right side of the toolbar, there is a store button. Click store. It'll bring you a icon or a thing up in the middle. Click that. Go to our store. My wife has put up some really cool designs, some newer designs. Ian, you got your own design up there alone. There's some Black Glove Mysteries up there. There's also, the Land of the Creeps logo shirt here. All kinds of our original logos. So a lot of stuff that you can get over there. We'd love for you to help support the store if you would do that. And hey, you might want to wear our ugly lugs. Maybe you want to, wear an Ian shirt. Maybe you want to support Ian over there and be, wearing the shirt, man. Go check out these designs regardless. You can get stickers, all kinds of stuff. Shirts ain't your thing. And let's go to Ian. What you got for your plugs, my friend?
So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Ursanomics. You can add me on Letterboxd and on Facebook. Just type in my name. I wanted to give a shout out to Mike Malloy, who made the Eurocrime documentary. He's actually working on a documentary right now called Bronzeploitation. It's basically a documentary about like Charles Bronson exploitation movies,
Oh, no.
and you can just type in his name. Malloy is spelled Malloy on YouTube to find like a little preview he just did because I think he's working on editing and finishing the documentary now. It looks really interesting.
Wow. Well, you can follow us at Facebook, Instagram, all them spots. Just look up Greg and Mortis. Greg and Mortis 666 at gmail.com is the email as well. And we do have a hotline here. It's 1-804-569-5682 to get your calls in as well. So with that said, as far as the YouTube video, we would love for you, if you're new to the channel, to subscribe to us. Click that like button as well as hit that subscribe button. It would really mean the world to us. 100 some views on our first video, which I thought was fantastic, man. I was thoroughly impressed with that, and I'd love to see even more. So share it with all your friends and enemies, and let them all know, and hopefully more people will tune in, and that we appreciate. So with that said, we're going to end here, and if you're listening to this on the podcast platforms, hang on. We'll see you in a minute.